Mr. E here with Ross from North Star Games. Ross, what is the hot new item that's coming out right now?
Yeah, so our biggest new release has just gone through Kickstarter. This is Nature. It was our most successful Kickstarter ever. If you've ever played Evolution or Oceans, this is the successor to that series. If you haven't, what you're doing is you're adapting species in a shared ecosystem. You can have a handful of cards, you can increase body size, grow the population, try and eat as much food as possible because that's points. And at the end of the game, you're going to score based on how much food you've eaten and how many species you keep alive. One of the ways you can keep your species alive is playing those cards as traits. So changing the way that your species interact around the watering hole, because it's a watering hole that has limited resources. Every round, players are going to get one new species, so there's going to be more mouths to feed as the game continues, but it's still that same limited resource. Some players might turn into predators, so you'll need to make sure that you adapt to be defensive against that. And that's the core of the game. The kind of secret sauce of Nature is what we've done is we've redesigned the whole thing to be a modular game system. Now, what that combination of words actually means is these are like mini expansions together, kind of like when you have lots of boxes of Lego, you can use them all together. Modules allow you to change the feel of the game by adding new elements. So Jurassic, that massively increases body size, throws more hidden predators into the deck, creates a more aggressive ecosystem. Flight kind of does a reverse, that allows you to migrate, get to safety, has more defensive traits. You've got natural disasters, that brings in event cards that impact everything at the table. You've got the Arctic Tundra, that's a really harsh environment at the edge of the livable world. Struggle to survive, you've really got, it's a points tight game, you really got to squeeze the points out of the engine. You've got Amazon Rainforest, that introduces hidden card play. You choose when you reveal those traits, so there's a bit more bluffing around the table, there's more surprises, and you can combine those modules in the big box, which is just what was just on Kickstarter. There's 24 different ways to play within this box, and 2 years after release, there's going to be more than 100 different ways to play the game.
Oh my.
So basically every time you get a new module, it gives you not just one new way to play, it combines with all the ones you already have to give you a huge amount of possibilities if this is something you're into.
Very cool. All right, so now next, what is the unsung hero of your product line, the oldie but goodie?
The oldie but goodie, well, I would say that Paint the Roses. Paint the Roses is arguably one of the best logic puzzle games on the market. And if you like logic puzzles, this is a cooperative game where you're working together to finish the Royal Gardens for the Queen of Hearts. It's mechanically simple, but deceptively difficult because you really have to think through every single tile placement. And the real secret of the game is the Queen is always putting pressure on you, whether you're right or wrong. She's always going to be forcing you along that track, and you've got to solve secret cards that you wall hold every turn to try and stay ahead of her. I think this is a really great game for the right audience, but you have to be willing to put a little bit of brain burn into the play, because it does ask a reasonable amount of you around the table, because every single turn you've got to continue to discover and figure out what somebody has and what the puzzle is. So you've really got to be highly engaged the whole time. So if that's what you're into, if you like puzzle games, Paint the Roses is really worth checking out.
We found, it was surprising for me that playing it 2-player was really, really difficult.
Yes.
And it was a logic puzzle. The next time I played it with 5 players, I expected it to be impossible.
Yeah.
And it was better because we had so much more conversation and a lot more interaction.
It was play tested the most at 2 players. But one thing I will say is you don't have someone to bounce your ideas off when you're at 2. So it becomes a really pure logic puzzle.
Yeah.
When you play at a higher player count, you can help each other see things that you may not have seen previously, which kind of allows you scope to be on it or not. Everyone helps each other. So I think when you play at higher player counts, there's more mutual support.
Yeah. And I
when
love
you play
that,
at a lower count, it's all on you to be figuring out what someone else has got.
And I loved how when we played it, no one was like taking charge.
No.
Everyone was just like gathering and sharing without one person leading the
the
narrative.
issue a lot of cooperative games is, if you're familiar with the term, is quarterbacking, and that is when someone is like, I'm going to lead the plays.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge with any cooperative game. This, because everyone has a secret card, and you can't communicate what yours holds, you can't solve everything for everyone. It's going to require that constant shift of who's able to speak, who's got ideas, and who can communicate on what around the table.
Yeah, I did it good. All right, we've got 20 questions. Ross, if you'd like to roll and see which one you get.
All right, let's be lucky today.
You've got a 17.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing to do when you're going to board game conventions?
Talk to people. When I first get to a show, I work the booth. I'm on the booth a lot. It's my job, and I'm very grateful for that. But when I first get here, I walk around and I say hi to the people that I've known over the years in the community. Because for me, it's like a traveling circus. And when the circus is back in town, you get to see all these faces. Conventions bring people from around the country or further, such as me, into the same space.
Yeah.
And that's really a gift. And it's like, when people get married, when there's an event, it brings everyone together. So I'm really grateful for that in conventions, that I get to see friends from far-flung places that I might not get to see that often in other circumstances.
Would you like to do a bonus roll? Bonus question?
Why not? Let's go. It's 15.
15.
I'm rolling good today.
All right. Do you prefer to read the rules, watch the video, or just have someone else teach it to you?
I think probably my number one preference is to watch a video. Quite a visual learner. I've played over 100 new games to me this year.
Oh my.
But I've probably played 400 games this year. That's a lot of rules to hold in your head, so I like videos as a refresher. And seeing a game in motion is really helpful for me to learn. I think when you learn at the table, that's really amazing. But it's also a lot to take on board all in one go. And reading the rules, I've read so many rule books now. I'd just rather someone else did that for me. But obviously, I'm happy to use the rule books when I can.
All right. Thank you for your time, Ross. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.